Story time with Fergie and friends.
A boy, his bear and a bully. This one. A boy, his bear and a bully. This is for Coops. Coops, this one's for you. Look, I'm a little bear. He's so sweet, this little bear. He's got a smiley face. I wonder who made him. Well, so, reading goggles on. And hello, mums and dads. Storytime, Fergie and friends. And it's mums and dads, girls and boys, aunts and uncles, granny and grandpa. Yay! Here we go. A boy, his bear, and a bully. Katie Flannigan and P.J. Reese. This is Scott. Scott takes Buttons to school to help him feel brave. So this is Scott. There's Scott. And this is Buttons. Hello. My name's Buttons. Scott takes Buttons to school to help him feel brave. This is Rosie and her unicorn. Your Majesty, this is Duncan, and every day Duncan is mean to Scott. On Monday at school, Duncan calls Scott, "Scott, no friends," 17 times. Scott wanted to tell him to stop. On Tuesday in art, Scott saw Duncan rip his painting, but he didn't feel brave enough to say. "I wish I knew where brave came from," said Scott. "Me too," said Rosie. On Wednesday in PE, Buttons went missing. "I don't think I can be brave without Buttons," Scott told Rosie. On Thursday, it was dress-up day. Scott wondered how he was going to get some brave without Buttons. He hoped his dinosaur suit would make him brave. Dress-up day was fun. Miss Reed wore pajamas. Rosie wore her unicorn costume. Duncan wore his karate uniform. All morning, Scott worried about Buttons and finding his brave. His stomach felt fluttery. When the lunch bell rang, Scott's heart started thumping. He wondered if this was his brave brewing. "I think I might be feeling a little brave," Scott told Rosie as they went to lunch. "Me too," said Rosie. "Where do you get brave from?" he asked Rosie. "Unicorns," she said. They sat down with their lunchboxes. Duncan stood over them, looking very karate. He snatched Scott's treat and stuffed it in his mouth. He started to chew. Scott felt something growing inside of him. Was this what brave felt like? With every chew, the feeling grew until it tumbled out. "Stop, Duncan, I don't like it." The playground went quiet. Feeling super brave, Scott said, "Duncan, did you take Buttons?" Rosie stood up and nearly in a loud voice said, "Yeah, did you?" Duncan leaned right over Rosie, who grabbed Your Majesty and ran to tell Miss Reed. "Duncan, do you know where Buttons is?" asked Miss Reed. Duncan shook his head. "Duncan, if you did know, where would that be?" asked Miss Reed. In the compost," mumbled Duncan, in a small food-in-his-mouth voice. Miss Reed and Duncan went to the compost bin, and together they rummaged through the scraps. At last, Scott had Buttons back. "Yay!" Miss Reed took Duncan, Scott and Buttons into her office. "Being mean is not okay," Miss Reed said to Duncan. Miss Reed then talked about kindness and friendship, but Scott was too busy listening to his insides. He felt better for finding Buttons and for finding his brave. Scott took Buttons home to wash him. To Scott, "I'm sorry." On Friday at the lockers, Duncan gave Scott a sorry note. He wrote with his mother. "Thank you," said Scott. "I am so very sorry." "That's nice," said Rosie. "Will Duncan ever be my friend?" asked Scott. "Maybe," said Rosie, "if he wants to be." "Maybe we should show him how," said Scott, which was brave. It sure was. So you have to stand up to the bully. Well done, and well done, Buttons, helping him with his brave.